What up, guys? You're back here with your girl Candy, and we are back with episode 2 of Jake the Monte Carlo. As you saw in the last episode, we got her out of storage and back in the shop, but we haven't actually done a walk around, looked at the car, figured out what it needs, make a list essentially. And the first thing we had to do last night is charge the batteries in the trunk. So that's what you're looking at here. Each individual power bank ended up with a trickle charger on it because we're a big wheel, big power shop, and we do not have a lot of lowriders here. So typically that would be like a 24 or 48 volt charger or something that will flip between the different power circuits. We just didn't have that. So we did your standard 12 volt. We ran 4 of them because we got lots of them. And now she's all charged up, ready to go. So we're gonna snap all these off and bring her outside, get her in the daylight, and do a walk around with you. Just a couple trickles. All right, we'll put those away for later. So she still doesn't run. We gotta figure that out, but I wanna figure out cosmetically what she's needing, what she's missing, and you know, like I said, just walk around and figure out what the options were on the car, figure out, it's a really cool option car, so I wanna share it with y'all. Right there, Jew. All right, so we've got her outside. If you know, this is a 3rd gen Monte Carlo. 78 to 80 shares the generation. 78 shared the same front clip essentially. 79 and 80 share the same back end, but the 80 has a dual front headlight. This is the most iconic of all of the G bodies that are not in the performance category, like for example, a Grand National, 87, 88 Monte Carlo SS. I would say this is by far the most iconic car. And what made it that iconic? Training Day, the movie Training Day. And that is how this car got its name, Jake. If you know who that is in the movie. When I'm walking around this car, I want to kind of take note of what it does need. And the first thing that jumps out to me is impact strips, which are these guys here. There is one manufacturer that makes a direct replacement impact strip. Everything else is universal. There's nothing on the market that is direct replacement except for his reproduction. And these were a terrible design in the 70s because they are literally just 3M taped onto the bumper. I'll show you on the back of the car because it's actually peeling off in the corner. It's 3M taped, it sits there, that's it, that's all. So once again, going up the car, I do see that it's got a really nice set of Zenith wire wheels, all chromes with 2 bars on it, but it's got a really ugly set of tires. So we are gonna have to order tires for it. And then also when I am looking at the paint on this front bumper, I should actually circle back to that, is the fact that this car was painted in its life previously in the last couple of years, and I'm seeing some reaction stuff just on the plastics, because a lot of times if this had old material buildup, etc., it's just gonna react to each other. And because this car has been sitting, this does also need to be repainted. So we will be painting the front bumper. We will be doing the tires, like I said. Moving up the car, this is pretty cool because it is a Landau with a half top, half vinyl top, and that's how you see it right here. And this top looks like it's been pretty, it looks pretty new as well. Like it's in great shape. Definitely needs to be cleaned, but that's about that right there. The other thing that really jumps out to me is this beautiful blue tint. And I'm really hoping with a heat gun, yeah, it will. With a heat gun, it'll be nice and easy to take off. So that is gonna be one of my projects. Prepping that front bumper is honestly gonna end up being my problem as well. So you'll see me over here. I also noticed, so these cars, come in 3 different side trims. 3. There's 3 different combinations. There's a narrow one, there's a wide one, and there's a 2-piece one. This one here is a just basically the wide one, and then it's missing 1 rear quarter rocker trim. Unfortunately for me, I do have this piece in stock at my warehouse in Canada. I have no way to get it here. So I'm gonna be going on eBay to find this part that I have in stock in my overstock that I can't even get here. But that's the rear quarter trim behind the rear wheel on the passenger side. Moving up the car, you're seeing really good 79 Monte Carlo taillights. I did have a friend, actually the same friend that's reproducing these impact strips, has a couple NOS vertical license plate trims. I will probably be ordering that to replace that ugly one. Vertical license plate pocket trim is what we call that. So as I was saying about the impact strips and how they always go on every 78 to 80 Monte Carlo, you'll see right there how this is held on with literal 3M tape, and it just lifts up and cracks and goes to shit over time. This rear bumper looks great. The color looks great on the rest of the car. When I'm opening up the jams, your factory stickers are in here, factory colors here, great jams, no rust. Just a very, very clean car. Going into the inside of the car, another thing I noticed right here is how clean the doors are. These are all factory stickers. You're not seeing any rust down here. A lot of times these cars are really, really rusty, and you'll see it all the way around the doors, into the jams, and this is a very clean car. I don't see anything popping out at me in the means of cancer. This interior, I see a couple little things on the bucket seat, but like that's so minimal that I don't even think I'd replace that. I'm gonna reach out to Acme and see how much a new set of skins are, but to be honest, this is in great shape. The seat backs, I believe, were a little dry, a little chalky, nothing crazy. They've been color matched to the interior. You know, I'm not too worried about that, and I know how hard these are to get, so we'll probably leave those. Another cool feature of the car is it does have an Alcantara headliner in, so a suede headliner and visor combo, which is really, really neat. And the one thing that I did notice is the majority of these cars, the dashes are just completely gone. This one's got a few tiny little cracks up here with the speaker grill, really common, and a couple there. But other than that, there's literally no cracks in it. It's in decent shape. It's even a factory air conditioning car, so it's got the factory dash vents in the center, and you know, the console's in great shape. It's got the factory bread box. Just a really, really, really cool car. Little chalky on the A-pillars, just like the seat backs, same material, same plastic. So we'll see if we can find some of those, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on some A-pillars in baby blue. All right. Also noticing that we're missing, this would have been a power window switch door panel, and this is a manual door. So these have been replaced at some point in its life. So I'm gonna get something to fill that, probably just a factory power window switch, and then maybe we'll wire that up to somewhere else. The door is closed beautifully. The gaps are great all the way up. Couple little paint chips, nothing crazy. Now, we still gotta get her running. This is a 267 V8. I looked it up because I couldn't remember. I was like, was it a 281 or 283? No, I was getting mixed up with the early 60s cars. This is a 267, so this is the small V8. It obviously needs some love. We got to figure out what's going on with it, figure out why it's not running. It sounds like a power issue at the starter, so some wiring. And the other thing that's really bothering me about this car is somebody has spray foamed the heater box. So we're gonna see if we can get another heater box and figure out how to close that up, because the AC still blows cold. So why not utilize that and keep it, you know, a factory air car. So we will be cleaning up the underhood, getting it running, and then go through and see where we're gonna find these parts from. Most likely gonna be eBay treasure hunt. I did notice, I think, one emblem missing. Yeah, right here where it says Monte Carlo on the header panel. I also have that in stock in Canada and I can't get it down here, but we'll be ordering that, so a header panel emblem. Other than that, I mean, Jake seems to be quite the car. Like, you see that this is a factory color. This is definitely the original color the car was, and it's been resprayed right back to original, but all the jams are good. I'm not seeing any rust. And the other thing I did forget to mention was the rally gauges, which I know I spoke about in the last video, but that's gonna be the circle style gauges. And in the Chevelles, this actually started in '69. They had a rally style gauge, which is a sweep style gauge. Sorry, they had a sweep style gauge and a rally style gauge. And the sweep would be in the more base model cars and the rally would be in the more performance cars. This one has idiot lights and rally gauges, which is super cool, which is the circles, way more desirable. Yeah, let's see if we got any power to the hydraulics, and then I think that's gonna be it for showing you Jake, because I got a good parts list to go look up. Ow, I just hurt myself so bad. All right, so my next goal is, oh, there's one more part that I just noticed that we need to get. We need to get some trunk weather strip. This one's a little chewed up. She looks very original, super inexpensive fix. And we want to keep that water out. Not that there's a lot of water that this car has seen, but we definitely want to make sure that's up to par. Now, I'm curious to know if she's going to have power or if we're going to call Knock today from Hopolics and ask him to help me figure out where and why this car has no power to it. So let's close this in case she's hot. Also has an aluminum trunk lid. Very rare. Oh, she's hot. She's hot. Cool. Very cool. All right, so the front's hot. Let's see if the back's hot. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. I'm actually pretty happy with how snappy this setup is. Yeah, she's wired left, right, front, not straight front, which is kind of strange, but we're gonna change that. Yeah, see how she's dropping on one side, not the other? That's such a weird way to wire it. So I guess that's like, that's as low as she goes. So I would say she's got an extended arm in her, and that's why we're bulldogging a bit from the wheel. You'll see how that wheel sits on an angle. But I'm really happy that the switches are hot and she's working. It means we might actually be able to go have some fun with her when we figure out why she's not running. But yeah, she's snappy. That's a great height. That's really a great height. For just a driver quality car, like this is awesome. So I wasn't able to see this earlier. You're probably not gonna be able to see it on camera because it is so dark. But I wanted to actually see this thing in the air. We're actually gonna put it on the hoist and put the 57 under it tonight. But I wanna see it in the air because in the Northwest where I'm from, these cars are always rusted out in one of two places. Right here in the rails, in the arch, or in the trunk floor. And this car to me actually looks insanely solid with no rust. So I'm really curious to know once we get her in the air if that's actually the case. And to me, it looks like that might be the case. So we might have ourselves a beauty of a 79 here. And I think that might be Jake. I think that might be Jake. Well, I guess what's next is we gotta get her out and get her washed and clean her up. Make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and of course, let us know in the comments below what you liked about this episode or what you want to see more of.